What were in considerations, or what criteria did you have looking into feds?
I wanted a Fed that was rather A in the RWA or B very close to it because I feel like starting fresh and starting in a new Fed, especially since I'm leaving in July, I'll probably be back in January for a little bit, not for long though. Wasn't going to be the best idea, so I thought I'd stick with something that I knew with or without me was going to succeed and just something I thought I could make better.
How are you going to be able to offer like a long-term experience?
Well, I think that just comes with the product and the mark I leave on the Federation. Like I said, I may come back in January. That all depends on how I'm feeling after everything.
Did you consider any indie feds?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you would consider them indie, but like WPW, JWWE,
Uh,
IWS was kind of a consideration. But
were you trying to choose people that you had personal relationships with, or was it just kind of like a mix of people?
I think it was a mix of both. Like with JWWE, I've known Miles for a while, and I kind of have a sort of a personal relationship with him. I consider him a good friend, and I was just seeing like people that like I think I would mess well with creatively and just working with in general.
How many?
Especially somebody who was motivated because Dylan was, and this isn't me throwing shots at BPW or Dylan. I love Dylan, I love BPW, but just somebody who was motivated too.
Is there anyone that you considered outside of your league?
I think I bring a lot to the table, especially with attraction, attendance, storytelling, booking, stuff like that. I think I bring it in a unique way that nobody else can. So, because I think I'm my own person, and nobody else can be me.
Were you looking at people who needed a host, or people who needed creative direction?
A little bit of both, because I think people who need a host also need creative direction. But I didn't want to go somewhere that was going to take a long time. I wanted to be able to get into something and then be like, okay, I'm here. Let's work.
On the creative side, do you have anything to offer in terms of storylines?
I bring very interesting ideas because I'm a weird person. Just a weird person, not in a bad way, but in a good way that I can think outside of the box that in most ways people can't.
Was there anyone that was talking to you about it on like which fed to choose?
There were a couple people telling me not to do it because I was leaving in July, and there were other people that wanted to make a new Fed with me. Like I said, I don't think a new Fed is what I'm looking for right now, at least in terms of building it from the ground up.
What was the motive behind this? Was it like a publicity move, or did you just want to do something before you leave? Again, you talked about impact. Could that be one of them?
Yeah, I think before I leave, I just wanted to be a part of everything, or try and be a part of whatever I can be. Like I got RWA title, and then I'm doing this, and I think it's a little bit of publicity, which isn't a bad thing, but you know,
Did you consider OPRW? Were you looking for people with high production, or were you like looking? Did that not matter to you?
to me, as long as the production isn't bad, it didn't matter to me, and I was also looking for somebody who had their own style, like they had their own identity, you know.
Was there anyone that offered you, made you an offer, but you actually didn't want to go there? You don't have to name them, obviously, but like, yeah.
Yeah, no, there were a couple of feds that offered me, but like I said, I didn't want to go to a fed that I had to build from the ground up and I didn't think was trustworthy, like as a person or a fed owner, because a lot of these people get unmotivated really easily. And I had that experience with Dylan, and I'm just not looking for it again. So
Can you talk about your experience with Dylan and what went wrong there?
I think it was just which this is not a bad thing at all. He was just heavily focused on school and stressed out, and I'm not gonna put all of his business out there, but he was just stressed out and he didn't really want to be on Roblox, which is completely understandable. I'm not gonna hold that against him. It's just before I leave, I just want to make sure that whoever I'm doing it with is trustworthy and is motivated because if I do this and then they're not motivated, well then I look like a complete fucking idiot. So you know.
The Fed that you were joining, are you planning on making it number one?
It is number one.
Speaking of your experiences with Dylan, it's kind of like an obvious question, but you can probably elaborate on it. Are you motivated?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely motivated a lot more now because I know I'm leaving. Um, and I feel like, you know, if I'm gonna do anything before I leave, especially now is the time to do it because I've only got 3 months, which is a decent amount of time.
Do you have anything? What specifically do you have to offer that nobody else is offering?
But like I said, I think my I think I don't want to call myself a genius creative wise, but I definitely come up with a lot better creative stuff than I think most people do. And I think it provides a better product, better matches, better storytelling than I think anybody else can because that's what a lot of feds lack nowadays is yeah, sure they have high production, but half the time you're just bored at a show watching, two people fight and you just sit there for hours on hours with nothing to do. I feel like that's the issue with a lot of feds now is there's not like a lot of entertainment, you know. There's not a lot of stuff to do that gets everybody involved. Like when I say everybody involved, I mean, yeah, you have an FCA, a battle royal, and then the show starts, and then they're just stuck sitting there at the same promo and segment and match over and over again, and it's just not fun to watch. And I feel like I can definitely provide, and especially anybody who's been to Rampage, they have a good old time there because even if it's just matches, it's always interesting. It always feels like there's something on the line, whether it be a record, a win, a loss, whatever it is. It all matters, you know.
Was there anyone that you were hoping to make you an offer that didn't?
Honestly, no, because just about everybody made me an offer. I was surprised the Fed that did though, that I took or am taking, offered me, and what they offered me. And this Fed I'm picking, I definitely have a position of power because I'm gonna be running my own show. But like COO, I'm almost like the owner if that makes sense. And it surprised me like who offered me.
Could you give me a number of how many people gave you offers?
Probably 10 to 15.
And how many in the RWA or like OWA gave you an offer?
I believe 4 or 5.
Yeah, you want to reveal it now?
I, Kaden Jersey, will be taking my talents to the Mighty Runnels Southern Championship Wrestling SCW. Do their production, like I said, they have their own identity. If you go to their Fed, it feels like no other Fed you go to. Like it's always fun to watch. The crowd is always invested. They have their own like unique segments, and it's just me and Mighty like the same type of stuff and ideas, like doing crazy shit, like having a show or something at a superhero fucking base or some shit. Excuse my language, but just stuff like that. Like he's just down to do anything, and he's such a nice guy. He's a lot nicer than he should be, but I think that just speaks for his character and who he is as a person. So I think he was the best choice, and he's definitely the most reliable. And I think SCW is definitely. I don't know who else could be number one. I mean WWE, but like it feels like the same old, same old. They're not getting full servers, and this isn't me bashing them, but I just feel like SCW as a whole, they ran at the same time as Rampage and still pulled full servers. Like they have their own little community. They have everybody who's invested, their own production, their own staff team. They have their own talk shows and shit. Like it's just their own. It's just they have their own identity instead of the same old that you see at maybe saying ORW, hell even a BPW, WWE. Feds like that. Yeah, I think I chose the top Fed, and even if in other people's eyes it's not the top Fed, which maybe it might not be right now, it definitely will be, even after I'm gone, because as soon as people get eyes on SCW, they're gonna realize what they've been missing all along. And SCW is just something that because I know Mighty's gonna be running it for a little bit, and it's just something that we need to hang on to and keep around as long as possible. Because I know a lot of people are a little worried about pro wrestling dying. I don't think it's gonna die. Maybe die down in popularity. But I feel like SCW is just gonna be one of those threads that really help us, keep our community where it is, aside from all the toxic stuff.
Are you going to be hosting?
Yeah.
Are you going to be booking?
Yeah.
Are you going to be controlling? Are you going to be building new talent?
Yes.
Is there anything you're not going to be doing?
Deving, I guess, but I mean, I'd probably like give ideas, but that's probably it.
How are you going to ensure an equal balance?
Well, I think it's a simple answer. I think it obviously starts with just seeing where the competition lies within the first couple of weeks. Maybe having who some people will consider big people going against maybe some smaller people, their community versus just against the community in general. Just seeing how they all blend, seeing how it all works, and just seeing how it all works out for everybody. Because then after that, it just shows who really is good and what people's places are on the card. High card, low card, mid card. I just don't think it's hard. So for me, it's never been hard to get everybody involved. I think you just have to be aware of what talent you have and what people are asking for. Because when I ran Rampage, I thought everybody was going to be asking for title shots. But I made sure that I pre-booked every match. Like, even if it was just one-on-one, I'd sit down for about an hour. I'd go through my roster, and I just make matches and plan segments.
What are you going to do different?
I think I'm definitely a more faster-paced host. If you go to SCW, that is the only thing I will complain about SCW. Sometimes it's very slow-paced in the hosting, which isn't necessarily a bad thing all the time. But sometimes it just, you have this good show, but then it goes slow, so it almost feels like it's drawn out and it's stretched out longer than it needs to be.
Are we going to see possibly a brand split for you?
Yeah. Well, I don't know a brand split, but I'll have my own show. I guess me and Mighty will have to discuss that. So,
are you going to be hosting Stampede alongside Mighty, or is it going to be like split completely?
He gave me two options, and I guess I can talk about it now. He said, and I quote, "You could join the host team on Stampede and help host that show and work on storylines and bookings. Or me and somebody I won't name right now could come potentially bring back their other show as a second brand, which I guess would be a brand split, that can be hosted during the week. I wouldn't be super involved in that hosting wise, so the ball would be in our court." That was what was offered to me, and I like the way everything's ran out over there, so I made that choice. SCW #1.